Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, all honor, all glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakadash, the Barnes of the Apostles, and else great millstone for teaching us this truth. Peace and blessings to the whole flesh of Israel. Shalom. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Hebrew by Hashem. Means the name, and Yahweh Shai is the name of the begotten Son. Background lesson, and as seen in the title, shameful spewing should be upon thy glory. Now I'm going to jump into a few articles showcasing that America, aka Babylon the Great, ain't so great anymore. And now these nations are starting to see that also. America is no longer looked upon as a place where you go to fulfill your dreams. Now it's being seen as a place with the highest suicide rates, the most shootings, killings. America ain't so big and strong as it once used to be. In the article right here look at the state that the military is in. It's the Biden regime turning military into a freak show as Navy uses non-binary sailor who performs as a drag queen in recruitment campaign. And you even have the people that served in the military, the people that are veterans, are coming out saying that they are ashamed to even say that they have served. Because this is now pretty much the face of the military. Now imagine what the other nations think, man. America is being brought low. But let's dive into a few quick articles once again. We'll dive into the rest of the scriptures, and Lord's will be edifying lesson. Even this title right here says Biden fears for U.S. reputation. America is on its last legs, as the United States would become a deadbeat nation if it defaulted on its massive $31 trillion debt, the president said. And now, you even see, the paper dollar losing its value. You have other nations leaving it behind. You even see bank collapse. America is crumbling as we speak. And they're unable to pay off that $31 trillion debt. Now you even still see them, printing out money, which is gonna, lessen the value of the dollar even more. So it's just only gonna get worse. And also, once again, as we got in the article, look at the state that their military is in. As the U.S. President Joe Biden has said, America's reputation would be damaged in the extreme if the government were unable to pay its bills. So now this is the problem right here. Now you're seeing many other problems are starting to show also. Once again, the shame is being seen. If the government were unable to pay its bills, insisting a default on the national debt is simply not an option. Now this is addressing reporters after a meeting with congressional leaders on Tuesday, and also going back to the bank collapses. People lost a ton of money. They weren't able to get that money back, even though they said, even though the government said they would get it back. But guess what? They didn't. They even have, people, their own people starting to lose faith in them, in the government. Now, addressing reporters after a meeting with congressional leaders on Tuesday, Biden said the sit-down was productive, noting that all sides agreed to find a path forward to make sure America does not default on its world historic debt. But, scriptures that came to mind after I just read this, 1 Thessalonians 5:3. Or it's like 1 Thessalonians 5:3. They say it better, say it clearer. But, this goes into, let's actually get that real quick. Don't want to butcher it. Now it says, for when they should say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon one with a child, and they shall not escape. So there's no peace nor safety come to this place. As the scripture mentioned in 2 Ezra, victuals shall be so good cheap on earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. But things are, matter of fact, only gonna get worse. Beautiful sight to see. Because it goes to show that we're nearing the end of this devil's kingdom and getting closer and closer to our Lord's return. Now it says our economy would fall into a significant recession. It would devastate retirement accounts, increase borrowing costs. Look at that. As it's mentioned, you even had the bank collapses that were taking place. People lost a ton of money and weren't able to get it back. And you wonder why. Our economy would fall into a significant recession. It would devastate retirement accounts, increase borrowing costs. He said of a potential default, adding that nearly 8 million Americans would lose their jobs, and our international reputation would be damaged in the extreme. You already see tons of layoffs dealing with Amazon. I believe in many other places also. I think over there in Florida, they, I believe, passed a law where I believe you had Issachar over there weren't able to work anymore, So pretty much now you're going to see nothing get done over there, Because, Issachar is, a hard worker. But let's see. Pretty much got returned. See a little bit more so we can get out of it. Now, since calling the debt the single most important thing that's on the agenda, the president went on to claim that America is not a deadbeat nation, arguing that it's the duty of Congress to raise the debt ceiling in order to avoid a default. Now, let's look at this in the article right here. That's the U.S. mass shooting rate revealed. Now, it says over 14,000 people have died from gun violence so far this year, according to the White House press secretary. And you pretty much see shootings pretty much happening on a daily. This is now the norm. And that's a terrible thing to also be known for. Now, it says the U.S. has seen 201 mass shootings in the first 128 days of 2023. Look at that. Now, the White House press secretary, Kane Jean-Pierre, claimed during a press briefing on Monday, citing leading accounts. Now, it says Saturday's massacre at an outlet mall in Allen, Texas, which left 8 people dead and 7 injured, allegedly marked the 201st mass shooting of the year. As scripture also mentioned, Matthew 24 and 12, the love of many shall wax worse, shall wax cold. You're seeing things progressively getting worse. These things are starting to happen in broad daylight. With cameras around, especially, But his credible estimates show that more than 14,000 people have died this year from gun violence. This is a crisis. It is a crisis that the Republicans in Congress are refusing to address. So she called on Congress to pass gun control measures that have previously failed to gain bipartisan legislative support, blaming Republicans for the tide of violence she insisted was engulfing the nation. Now, this is a last article right here, and we dive into the scriptures. Now, it says, Biden regime turning military into a freak show as Navy uses non-binary sailor who performs as a drag queen in recruitment campaign. Now you have the people that served in the military seeing it as a freak show. Imagine the other nations. Now let's see if we can get right here. It says that since the earliest days of the Biden administration, Republicans and conservatives in Congress have accused the White House of a increasingly imposing woke left-wing culture ideology on the U.S. military, which in turn has led to a sharp decline in enlistments. And they thought this would help it, to bring more people through. But instead of reversing course, the politically correct brass in place at the Pentagon appeared to be doubling down, struggling to meet their recruiting goals for a fiscal year 2023. U.S. naval leadership has found whom they believe to be the perfect person to increase the branch's ranks. Drag queen Harpy Daniels, the Federalist, noted this week in a head-checking report. They even had a video, showing him just dancing around and just completely through. See if it shows it right here.
We have the most powerful military in the world, not even close. To get here, it took hundreds of years. Hard work, discipline, dedication.
Hey, there he goes. So we have the world's strongest military. Now this is the face of it. America is being brought low. As I mentioned near the beginning of the lesson, America ain't so big and strong as it once used to be. Especially now that this is being pretty much labeled the face of it. You're seeing less enlistments. Only going downhill. Which we'll go back to that video. Read a little bit more, see if we can get anything else. Now it says, the Daily Caller added the Navy hired UOMan second class Joshua Kelly, an active duty drag queen who identifies as non-binary and performs under the stage name Harpy Daniels, to be a Navy digital ambassador. To increase recruitment for the branch, the digital ambassador program was launched to reach a wider of potential candidates for military recruitment through the digital platforms. As per the Navy spokesperson, the program purportedly ran from October 2022 to March 2023. Kelly had announced on Instagram in November that the Navy had invited him to be their first digital ambassador and highlighted his experience performing in drag queen for the Navy, performing in drag for the Navy since 2018, while also presenting himself as an advocate and leader for individuals who were allegedly oppressed for years in service. From joining 2016 and being able to share my drag experience and my off time, yada yada yada. Needless to say, the move has been blasted by current and former U.S. military members as well as GOP members of Congress. These days, the American people see this and think This has become our military. Shameful spewing should be upon thy glory. America is being brought low, being no longer looked upon as great. The once great America is now being brought to this. Come on. Where's it at? Let's see. Trying to find where I left off. Sluck here. Yes, like it says, these days the American people see this is and think this has become our military. And as I mentioned, imagine what the other nations are starting to think. Said Matthew Loheimer, who previously served as commander of the 11th Space Warning Squadron in Colorado before making remarks on podcasts expressing criticism of Marxism, adding that it's disheartening that the U.S. military only seems to make headlines for items such as drag-themed recruitment videos. And so, first and foremost, I think it's important that I should say, and I fail to do this often enough, thank you to the good men and women who nobly serve our country in uniform every day of their lives, because they show up believing in the greatness of the American ideal, and because they're willing to lay their life on the line in defense of this country. Continuing an interview. And so I have to wonder who it is that our senior military leaders, in fact, think they're appealing to in the recruiting process by hiring a drag queen as their digital ambassador. Let's see. Yeah, pretty much
the men and women who protect America, they don't do it for fame, money, or glory. They do it because they think the country's still worth fighting for. After they enlist, they get shipped off to boot camp, lace up the boots, throw on the fatigues, buzz the hair. Imagine how I'd look. Everybody looks exactly the same. Why? Well, because it's not about the individual, it's about the mission. To keep this principle alive, stage name is Harpy Dan. The recruitment gold issue.
Yeah, this is video right here.
They're tweaking their recruitment strategy. Meet the new face of the Navy.
hey, there you go. As I was mentioning, the new face of pretty much of the military.
Hey, all you fabulous faces, it's your girl, Harpy Daniels.
I'm SAD, and SAD stands for successful and dangerous, smart and dedicated, sassy and dramatic, strong and determined, spicy and delicious.
So that's Joshua.
Hey, America, aka Babylon the Great, has been brought to this. And now this right here, when we get this last bit right here, it's like it for pretty much reading almost the whole thing, but wanted to get this out the way. It says Robert J. O'Neill, a former Navy SEAL who is credited with killing Osama bin Laden, tweeted, "Alright, the U.S. Navy is now using an enlisted sailor drag queen as a recruiter. I'm done. China is going to destroy us. You got this, Navy. I can't believe I fought for this bullcrap." So hey, there you go. You have the people that served in the military, the veterans that have served this, in the military for years, are seeing it being brought to this, man. This place is through. But let's dive into these last few scriptures, and it's like for reading the whole thing in the article, but we only got the point across. Now this is Habakkuk 2:16, which is the main point. Now says, "Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's Yahweh Shemashah's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be upon thy glory." I mean, look at it, man. You read an article, Biden's worried about the U.S. reputation, especially now that you're seeing this article coming out of, drags pretty much being the face of the Navy, the military, the so-called, greatest military on the planet is being brought to this, man. Even going back to the military troops, that have served in the military, are even saying themselves that they're ashamed to say that they have served in the military, that they maybe even regret it. Jump to Isaiah 47:1. Don't necessarily have these in order, but just flow to the spirit. Isaiah 47:1. As it come down and sit in the dust, O virgin, daughter of Babylon. Because you see right now, America is on a pedestal. We're still under this devil's rule, but very soon he's going to be brought low and taken out. Now, as it comes sit, Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldean, for thou shalt be no more. For thou shalt be no more be called tender and delicate, because no one has really dethroned or taken out your America, you know. But very soon, America is going to be brought low. Continue on. Now it says, take the millstone and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover thy thigh, pass over the rivers. And if you come back up top right here, it says, come down and sit in dust, O virgin, daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of Chaldean, for thou shalt be no more called tender and delicate. Because no one has really once again touched or pretty much laid a finger on America, aka Babylon the Great. But he's going to be brought low. That pedestal he once was on, is he's going to be brought to the dustbin, the lowest part. As was mentioned in Isaiah 14, how Satan, fell from heaven as lightning, falling from power at a fast rate. Verse 3 says, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yeah, thy shame shall be seen. Hey, there you go. Thy shame is being seen. Biden worried about they wanting the U.S. reputation, that if they're not able to pay off the debt, they'd be a deadbeat nation. You're seeing drag being the face of the military, America is being brought low before our very eyes, and this is the work of Yahweh by Shemel Shai. This is through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shemel Shai. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yeah, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. That's speaking of our Lord Yahweh Shai, coming back as an angelic force, man. Now, let's continue on. Got what we need right there. Mark 4:22, like I said, you can fly through these. As for there's nothing hid which shall not be manifested, neither was there anything kept secret, but that it should come abroad. So America's secrets, are pretty much being revealed. This devil is being exposed, for his works, his true intentions, and ultimately how he really is, man. With all the wickedness and confusion that you see being pushed on a daily. Now you have the other nations starting to see Babylon the Great, as not so strong. As scriptures go in the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, let the weak say, I am strong. Now even they start to stand up against America. Nations that were once so-called weak are starting to stand against, Babylon the Great. Let's continue on. Mark 4:22 one more time. For there is nothing hid which shall not be manifested, neither was anything kept secret, but that it shall come abroad. So America's being exposed, man. As you read earlier in Isaiah 47, how their leg is being exposed. That once so-called virgin is now brought to the dust. Is now no more tender nor delicate. America can be brought low. Luke 12:2-3. Down to that point, for there is nothing covered that should not be revealed, neither hid that should not be known. We're seeing America being exposed, man, for how they really feel and what they're really about. The things that they, really did and swept under the rug. This stuff was being exposed, man, in many cases. Verse 3, it says, therefore whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light. And that which ye have spoken in the ear and closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. So those once secrets, those meetings that you had behind closed doors, is all being shouted upon housetops. It's being brought to light, We got a few more scriptures, and we'll shut it up from there. I don't want to make this a super long lesson, but, I don't want to get the point across. Let's see, 16th verse. We're just going to get the 12th verse right here. Yeah, we can get this and we'll jump it a little bit down. Now it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Once again, America will be around low, and now you have these nations looked upon as Babylon the Great as, pretty much as nothing, shame shall be upon thy glory. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend to heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars, the Most High. I will sit also upon the mountain of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I'll be like the Most High, going to the pride of this devil that he has. Verse 15, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Being brought low, as you read in Isaiah 47:1. And right here, as we're reading now. Verse 16, main point. Now it says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? Now they look upon it, at Esau, Edom, and say, this was the man that was real, that did all these things, Now, let's see, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. All the kings of the nations, even all them lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, and as a carcass trodden under feet. We can just right here, and we'll jump into the last few. Thou should not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed that land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. But the main point is verse 16. They that see you shall never look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? Especially when he is pretty much fully taken out. This is the man, that did all these things. Joel 3:9-13. Proclaim ye some of the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Be your plowshares into swords, and your prunings into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. These nations are preparing to go to war, preparing to fight. Now they're standing up against America. The once so-called weak nations are not so weak any longer. Now you see North Korea doing the ICBM testing. All these different nations making nuclear advancements. Are starting to stand up against Babylon the Great, aka America. Which I mentioned, I don't say the title, but America ain't so great anymore. Which pretty much is all we need right there. Rest of it's going to the destruction of Babylon the Great, and the coming World War III. Now let's close with these last two. Obadiah 1 and 6. Now, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? So all these devil's secrets, this devil's being exposed. Everything is being brought to light. His true intentions, how he really feels, what this devil is really about, and just how this wicked kingdom operates. Now let's get Nahum 3:4-5. As because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, Babylon, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcraft. So you see many of the nations, kind of following the ways of Babylon the Great, aka America. The westernization that you see, especially going to how they have drunken the wine of her fornication. And you see over there in other lands where you have those naturally submissive women starting to pick up the ways of the Western woman. It goes to show how just really wicked this place is, man. Verse 5. That behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh by Shemel Shai of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame, which the Lord is doing as we speak. He is showing them their shame. We see the military chiefs are even saying that they're ashamed to say that they have served in the military, because now this is the face of it. Especially all the terrible things that Esau has done and is still doing to this day. America is no longer the so-called, the greatest kingdom, Which, America's going to be brought low very soon, but, point still stands. America's not so great as, they once were, Because now you have these weak nations that are starting to, stand up against America, aka Babylon, But, pretty much the main point, it's like we kind of ramble a little bit, but we want to tie these points together the best of my ability, and you're edified. I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemashai, Shem Karkadash, that one teachers, and elsewhere, mills for teachers, is true, peace and blessings to the whole collective Israel, and Shalom. See you next one, Lord willing.